Nation of Fit in 10, welcome to day 61. And that means we are officially 9 days left in the program. 9 days, so crazy, right? Yeah, probably not a massive amount is going to change here in 9 days, but still nearly 1/7 of the challenge. And I guarantee you, if you stick to real whole foods and you get a protein strong food every meal, especially breakfast, a good amount of a protein strong food, you will make really good change in 9 days. That I can guarantee you. If you stick to exclusively real whole foods and a protein strong food every single meal, you will make massive change. But that's hard for some people. I don't think it's that hard, but maybe that's probably maybe not fair to say. But do your best to do that. We got 9 days to go. There's, you can fight it out, and certainly I know many of you will, because you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and so you feel some pressure too. So let's, I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Let's make up for some lost ground, okay? Do your very best, okay? Don't do anything extreme, but just do your very best with that. All right, yesterday I talked about honey. I didn't really talk specifically about what was in it. I may have mentioned this before in previous videos, but let me just sort of remind you that honey is one of those great sweet foods that you can have. And of course, yesterday I really recommended that you get raw honey, which you can find in various stores. I got it in Safeway at the corner of Oak and 25th in Vancouver here. If you can find honey, you can't tell in the bags that I got, the bag that I got, but if you can find honey too that's darker in color, it tends to be more nutrient rich, tends to be more nutrient dense in B vitamins, calcium, copper, iron, zinc, potassium. It is also, if you get the raw honey, you're going to get more of the flavonoids and the phenolic acid as well. Okay. And honey is, well, it's not, I don't want to say that it's a free food. It is very sugar dense. It's a pure carbohydrate. It is by weight. I got to double check on this. It is by weight, probably about at least 2/3, probably around 3/4 carbohydrate. It might be more than that. It is basically pure sugar, but it is something you can have. It is a carbohydrate. It is something you can have. And it does come along with some decent nutrients. Oh, and not to forget, especially if you get raw honey, you get the bee pollen and you get the bee propolis in there as well, okay? And those have many, many health benefits. All right, so get some raw honey, as I mentioned yesterday. Okay, questions here. Let's talk about some of your feedback. The question from yesterday, how do you calculate how many macros to eat? Is this something you will teach us for after the program? I want to keep going afterwards and learn to build more muscle as well. Okay, well, if you want to build more muscle, and if that is a priority for you, which I would really encourage you guys, especially if you're 40 and over, to focus on this, because you're only going to lose it as you get older. And there's many, many important health benefits to the type of exercise that is required to build muscle. Okay, specifically neurologically speaking. All right, so weight training with heavy weights or doing some resistance training on a regular basis is going to be very important, or very, very helpful, important and helpful to your neurological development and your freedom from cognitive decline. Okay, specifically things like Alzheimer's and dementia, etc. Okay, now all exercise will help to prevent this, but in particular, because weight training is so neurologically involved, right? If you ever have to lift heavy weights, or if any of you have lifted very heavy weights especially, you know how much focus and concentration this takes, because it's purely mental. You have to send force signals from your brain out to your peripheral nervous system, okay? Central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. And there are many things, well, let me just say this. Muscle mass and strength are highly correlated with longevity, okay? And it's not just about longevity, but it's also about the quality of that longevity, right? We want high quality. So we want to have good reaction time. We want to be able to produce force easily. We want to have good bone density. We want to be able to be resilient. We want to be able to be strong and lift up things. We want to be very, neurologically adept. Like, we want to be able to react and move about like we are still very, very young. Lifting weights, doing things that are going to require a high force output is going to be very, very helpful for this, okay? All right, I'm not sure where I was going with this. I obviously went down a rabbit hole. I want to, right, this is all about building muscle. Okay, if you want to build muscle, you need to eat more calories. Plain and simple. Yes, I've struggled with this myself. Everybody wants to get leaner and build some muscle. Okay, well, you can do this if you are new. After some time, once you become more intermediate and especially advanced, you've got to kind of pick one or the other. All right, so, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually a great system to go through. So you go through a system where you focus on building muscle, you gain a bit of weight, but you are making an investment in your body composition. More specifically, we are increasing, in particular, bone density, and lean muscle mass. Well, maybe maintaining fat, maybe putting on some body fat, but not excessively. And then we go through a phase where perhaps we say, okay, my focus now is to maintain muscle mass. Okay, or maybe put some on if it's still possible, and lose body fat. So we go more through a deficit. And cycling in and out of these things is a great way. It is probably the best way. It is really what I would suggest doing if you really want to continue to maximize your body composition. And it's a fun way of doing it, right? It's not about getting, like tiny amounts of calories and just getting weak and feeble. No, it's more about optimizing calories, getting in as many calories as you can without taking you away, of course, and maximizing your body composition and, your strength and longevity. Okay, so now, how do you calculate macros to eat? Well, I'm gonna just tell you straight off the bat. You can work with what you currently have. So what do I mean by that? Well, right now you're eating a certain amount of calories, okay, and a certain amount of macronutrients. If you just, depending on where you want to go with things, make small adjustments based on what you're already doing, this is going to be a great system. So rather than saying, okay, I did this thing for 10 weeks and I made some progress, or I made a lot of progress, or whatever, everybody's making some level of progress. And you say, and you're honest with yourself, because this is the most important thing here. You are honest, and you can make an honest mistake with this. Of course, you may have a misunderstanding about what you're doing. Like you may be taking more calories than you think you are. It's possible. But let's assume that you're not. Okay? You can then take what you have. There's no sense in throwing it out the door. Take what you currently have and decide what you want to do. If you want to gain more muscle, okay, let's increase those calories by 5 or 10%. So just, whatever the macro split is that you have right now, okay, tack on 10% to each one of those. Okay, and then just hold it there for a couple of weeks. Okay, maybe more than a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And then, if you're really manic about your body composition, you can take your weight daily perhaps, and then take the average for the week. And do this, over the weeks. It depends on how stringent you want to be about this, okay? How manic you want to be about this. Maybe just weigh yourself once a week. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Okay? And just see where you can go with that. All right? So, don't think about trying to reinvent the wheel. Don't throw everything out and then start something fresh that's not, which may not be related at all to what you were doing. No, just take what you have and then build on it, or maybe reduce it even more. Okay? I don't think anybody really needs to reduce their calories here. If somebody's got an issue with their diet, it's probably because they're over-consuming. They're eating more calories than they think. Okay? Chances are. But that would be my suggestion. So I know this doesn't give you the answer. No, Mark, you got to tell me exactly how am I going to calculate this. Don't worry about this. Plus, I don't want to give away what I do, right? Sorry. But you can as well go online and look at things like the Katch-McArdle equation or the Harris-Benedict equation or the the Mifflin, I think it's Mifflin St. George, Jeor equations. These are all equations that will help to determine your BMR, which, by the way, the Katch-McArdle equation uses your lean body mass. So that's going to be more accurate. The other two don't, but they are pretty accurate in determining your BMR. Okay, so this is only one aspect of your total energy output for the day, but it's an important aspect, and it is the majority of your energy output for the day. Okay, and I think a lot of you will be surprised when you see what you're expending for the day. Okay, all of you out there who think you're eating too many calories, just look at what your predicted BMR is. Okay, and then knowing your BMR, we want to think about all the other things that are adding to your energy output, including exercise. That's one. The next one is non-exercise. And what's the third one? Thermic effect of food, right? All right, so let's put thermic effect of food aside because that's a really small part. Calculate how many calories you're burning from exercise. Calculate how many calories you're burning from non-exercise, which is kind of hard. It's everything you're doing outside of basically sleeping. So, okay. But the reason I mention that is because I want you guys to just see what your BMR is. Is there a predicted BMR in your? Oh, I'm using my phone right now. In the Renfo app, there might even be. There might be. Okay, so what else can I say about this? Yeah, but my suggestion to you would be this. If you want to gain some muscle, let's start to increase your calories in a stepwise fashion, okay? So again, let's be methodical about it. You've been at, let's just say, somewhere probably between, I'm just making this up, but I think for this person, maybe started out at maybe 1650 and maybe you're at like 1500 right now. Let's just use those numbers. You could wind it backwards a bit, okay? If you want to focus on, which it sounds like you don't because you said you wanted to gain muscle mass, so that's what I would do. But if maybe you want to spend a couple more months trying to lose body fat, I would stay with a little bit lower calories and then focus on, just keeping that energy output high. Again, if you really want to focus on gaining muscle, then, I'm already at 13 minutes. If you really want to focus on gaining muscle, you want to think about lifting heavy weights, okay? That's not to say you won't gain anything out of Martina's class. You will. It's just at some point in your journey of resistance training, we need to implement some heavier weights. Okay, I'm sorry. That was way too long. I'll talk maybe a little bit more about that tomorrow, if I could just get to the point. All right, day 61. It's not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. Rather, they grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams. It's just a state of mind. It is really just a state of mind, and I could not be happier, actually, and more surprised by one of my best friends. I hadn't seen her dad in a long time, and I saw him actually just back in February, and quick story here, he is 75, and I'm telling you, this guy looks like he's, and I'm not exaggerating, looks probably about 60, and moves and acts and is like super boisterous. He has tons of energy. Like, he's no different than the person I knew as a kid, the way he is, and he's 75. It blew my mind. But this guy is, I can't even really say he's been active. He's not been somebody who works out regularly, but always active guy, and but always very, very happy. State of mind, right? State of mind. Okay, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Sorry for the long video.